Looks like we're up and running. What's going on, Colts Nation? Appreciate you joining me for another live stream. Gonna have a reaction here to the game last night. Everything that happened, obviously, starters being able to play about a quarter and a half, some of them. Jonathan Taylor played the first drive. We scored a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor didn't play again, which is understandable, right? Somebody that's been injured over the last couple of years, even coming back from his injury in week 5 last year, ended up missing 3 more games. Ralph, what's going on, man? Appreciate you stopping by. Of course, I'm going to be talking about the game. You were here last night, so probably a lot of stuff you heard before, but I appreciate you stopping in. And obviously, this reaction is going to start with the starters on offense and all the noise coming from that side of the ball out of the game. You look at what happened early on, right? Drive went really well. Ended up being a 13-play drive, 80 yards, took over just over 6 minutes, started at the 20-yard line. Great job all around. Great decisions by Anthony Richardson, good accuracy by Anthony Richardson. Excuse me. The run game was as effective as it needed to be. But, you had first play, 18 yards to Alec Pierce. Another chunk play to Alec Pierce for 13 yards. Michael Pittman Jr. for 12 yards. A.D. Mitchell for 9. It was just chunk play after chunk play. Nothing crazy, but a lot of chunk plays. Most of these were 8+ yard plays. And then you cap it off with A.D. Mitchell getting his second catch on that drive. Another 9-yard catch. Ends up with a touchdown, so A.D. Mitchell getting his first NFL touchdown. Great. The first drive was flawless. Just absolutely flawless by the offense. Looked like they were going to come out and do what we needed them to do, right? Playing against the Bengals backups. You needed the offense to take it down the field, to put the ball in the end zone. They needed to make it look easy, and they were able to do that, right? Just after the defense made it look easy. Bengals first drive, 5 plays, -9 yards, right? Latu and DeForest Buckner combining for a sack. I'm actually here on the website. Let's see if they – looks like they just gave it to Latu. Looks like DeForest Buckner may not have gotten credit for a sack. Sitting here looking, no, he didn't get credit for a sack. They did give that one just to Latu. So Latu ends up with the sack. Very next drive, the other rookie ends up with the touchdown. So game really couldn't have started any better for us, right? Going up against the backups, needed to be able to dominate. And then the defense, get on the field again, 9 plays, 21 yards. Takes 3 minutes off the clock, but a punt by the Bengals gives the ball back to the offense, right? So at that point, feeling pretty good, right? Offense, defense doing their thing. And then a pass incomplete to Tyler Goodson. That was too high. And then a miscommunication with Kylan Granson ends up in a pick 6 for the Bengals to make it 7-7. It was 7-7 for a while, right? That interception didn't look good. It looked like it was probably Anthony Richardson's fault. Kylan Granson, in my opinion, was doing the right thing, right? Turning to the outside, looking for the ball to be on the outside shoulder. Anthony Richardson throws it inside. That communication leads to an interception for a touchdown, unfortunately. Everyone, do you think we bring a 4th running back to our 53? I'm sure Taylor, Sermon, and Holt make it right. Yeah, so it feels like – see, the running back situation is tough because I think Xavier Scott has looked really good. And Trey Sermon's been injured. So will that work against him? He has the continuity, the familiarity in this offense. He was with Shane Steichen, with the Eagles. But in my opinion, you look at what other guys have done. They're two guys that I think could end up off the rod because I think Xavier Scott should be on the roster. I think either Goodson or Sermon ends up gone. And I could see a world where it ends up being Sermon that's gone and you keep JT, Evan Hull. At that point, hey, maybe Goodson goes right because I think, all right, JT, Evan Hull, Xavier Scott. And then, yeah, I guess the decision would be between Sermon and Goodson. And I think Goodson has been on the field. I think that's what works in his advantage, right? Sermon's been injured, so I think we do take 4. However it works out, I think we take 4. Yeah, it's just a matter of who's the 4 that we're going to take. What combination are we going to take? With the way Xavier Scott's looked, like, do you really think we're going to be able to get him to the practice squad? I think if we cut him and take a chance trying to get him to the practice squad, somebody else is going to pick him up and make him part of their rotation. Felton doesn't really have a case. He had that 40-yard run, which is going to have people talking about, hey, maybe he has a case to make the roster. I think if you look at what he did in week 2 against the Cardinals on last Saturday, I think it was pretty apparent that Felton doesn't belong in that conversation. Maybe it's, again, familiarity, getting used to the offense, getting used to the guys he's around and the guys that are blocking for him, and he was able to come in and perform better. Let's look at his overall stats. Felton, 4 carries, 44, and a touchdown. That last one was like 40 yards, right? So before that, wasn't really getting it done, didn't really get it done last week. On any run, I'm pretty sure last week his stats were pretty terrible. So I don't really think Felton's going to be a part of that conversation. Yeah. Unfortunate not having Zach Moss anymore. It'd be nice to have him. But seems like him and Chase Brown are going to be a 1-2 punch over there in Cincinnati. They didn't have him play. They didn't have Chase Brown play. So it looks like the plan for them is for those two to be splitting a lot of carries, which I don't blame him, right? We had the games where JT and Zach Moss were splitting, and Zach Moss ended up being the hot hand, right? I expect that to be the case in Cincy, especially with Joe Burrow and the threat of the passing game over there in Cincinnati. Zach Moss probably going to do pretty well here with the Bengals. Either Richard Pittman dropped the ball. Yeah, Pittman dropping that ball, unfortunate, right? It was gunned in there. He was diving down to get it. NFL players make that stuff look easy. It's a lot harder than it looks, but either way, Pittman's just got to be able to extend the arm, be able to bring that one in. That was a pretty bad drop right there. Could have made Anthony Richardson's stats a little better. Could have helped things out a little bit. But it is what it is. We can't just act like Anthony Richardson wasn't inaccurate throughout the rest of the game, right? They had the interception for a touchdown, then they come out, 5 plays, 4 yards, take just over a minute off the clock, have to punt the ball. Then you go into the second quarter, 4 plays, -3 yards, a minute 21 off the clock, they have to punt the ball. And then I believe, what is Anthony Richardson's last drive in the preseason? 6 plays, 23 yards, 2:52 off the clock, and they had to punt. So inconsistency the rest of the time that the offense was in there, and just unable to get the job done the way they needed to, right? Again, going up against the backups, and they just couldn't get the job done. Really disappointed with what I saw from the offense. Defense looked incredible. When you look at the Bengals' full game, the starting defense obviously did their thing, but Logan Woodside, the quarterback that played the entire game for the Bengals, 16 of 21, but for 98 yards, right? Everything was check down, which is what Gus Bradley's defense is meant to be. But he does end up with the touchdown, which was great. Needed that touchdown to hit the over. I ended up hitting on that bet last night, so I'm glad that ended up happening. Then looking at the rest of these stats, Trayvon Williams for the Bengals, I heard him talking on the broadcast last night that he was going to be the number 3 back and could be part of the rotation. 11 carries, 66 yards. So overall, run defense, once the starters left, that's when they started getting chunk yards. So obviously when Grover Stewart's not there, it's going to be a problem. Now, it is nice having Raekwon Davis back. I didn't even pay attention last night, to be honest with you. I got to go back and look at it, watch the game again, look at the tape, and see if he was playing. I don't think he was. Matter of fact, let me just go to the defensive side of things, see if I can't see his name on the tackle sheet. Raekwon Davis. So he did play last night. I think he had an assisted tackle. So he was in the game last night. It'll be interesting to see just how much he played. But I do think with Raekwon there as a backup, it'll be better for us. I think it'll be better for us. Overreacted on AR performance. Yeah, which is natural, right? Everybody's been so high on, oh, the Colts are a sleeper team. Colts are a sleeper team. So now we're in a position where we're not sleeper. And everybody has expectations for us, with everything that's been said. And all the people that don't believe in the Colts were waiting to see something like that so that they could be like, oh, look at this. You guys think this is the sleeper team. You think they're going to do anything. Right, we just got to get into the regular season, see how the starters perform, right? And just like last year, right, week 1 wasn't incredible, just like the preseason wasn't incredible for AR. The week 1 game against the Jaguars wasn't incredible for AR, but as the weeks went on, AR got better, even with missing time, right? You look at just the next week against the Texans, yeah, he had the 2 rushing touchdowns, but he was dialing it up in the pass game before he ended up getting hurt and had the concussion. And then misses week 3, comes back week 4. Wasn't going well in the first half against the Rams, and then turned it on, flipped that switch, and started dialing it up in the second half. So, being able again, to flip that switch, being able to learn from his mistakes, that's the big thing I take from AR. A guy that can be coached, a guy that learns from his mistakes and is willing to take on the criticism and take on the responsibility of needing to figure things out. I just think that's what Anthony Richardson is. So it's not going to be great early on. It's not going to be perfect all the time. There are going to be moments in games where the offense just can't get going. You'll have that with a young quarterback. Again, and somebody, if you weren't around for the game last night, there's a graphic that came up. He has, since 2019, 6 starts in high school, 13 starts in college, 4 starts in the NFL. So plenty of time for Anthony Richardson. He's so young. Plenty of time for him to figure things out, right? Shane Steichen and his coaching staff, I believe in him, and I think they'll get him right. So, it's tough to watch and really disappointing, but overall, as we go forward, I think we'll be all right. I think there's a lot of overreaction and disappointment because we were hoping we'd be a little further along right now, right? We have to compete with the Lamar Jacksons and the Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allens of the world. So I think we all just wish things would have looked nicer and cleaner last night against the backups, but going forward, I think the development's going to be there because of the coaching staff and because of the player being willing to learn and get better. To leave opinions on Bean, does he move above Sam? I think, and just like Ralph here, I think it's Bean over Sam. I think, and we're going to have a whole video on this. Figure I'll just make an entire video about it, but what I'll tell you is that Sam, you know what you're going to get from Sam. In every preseason, Sam does the same thing. He comes out, he makes some plays, he performs well. But the thing about Sam is that he takes the safe play. And when you look at Jason Bean, man, he's thrown some interceptions over this preseason, but overall, Jason Bean isn't afraid to take the chance. He's not afraid to try to make a play. And his scrambling ability, his pocket presence is incredible, which is crazy. When you look at a rookie, that was what was really impressive about Anthony Richardson, the ability to just know somebody's coming from behind you. Now, Anthony Richardson was running out of the pocket. Last night got caught from behind, loses the ball. You got to be better about that. But the pocket presence to know, all right, my timer's up. I have to get on the move here. I have to get away from guys. And to be able to be a young quarterback that is used to using your legs and running, and the fact that he's still looking down the field and trying to find somebody. That was another thing we really liked about AR, is that when you have a guy that runs the ball, but he's consistently looking down the field to see if he has open receivers as he's scrambling, you love to see that. And that's what Bean does, which is why I think with his skill set, with the things that he does well, I think Jason Bean is a long-term backup for Anthony Richardson, right? Joe Flacco this year, but after this year, I think Bean has shown enough to stay on the roster. And you can't take a chance where you end up, hey, maybe you let Jason Bean go and somebody else picks him up, right? Maybe the Vikings want to bring him in as QB2 to Sam Darnold. Maybe the Chargers want to bring him in as QB2 to Justin Herbert, right, and run that, I think he would actually be a pretty good fit in the Chargers if he had to go in there. So there are teams that could use him. I mean, Baltimore. What if he went to Baltimore and he was Lamar Jackson's backup, and then we had to play Jason Bean and he makes plays against us? Right, those are kinds of things I think of. Just can't take a chance losing Jason Bean. So I think Jason Bean deserves to be on the roster. You know we're getting with Sam. Yeah, not getting any better at this point. Exactly. At this point, you know what you're going to get from Sam. It just is what it is. See, does Treadwell make the roster? I'd like Treadwell to make the roster. The issue is who else we have at receiver. And I think the decision would come like, do you take Doolin or do you take Treadwell? And because we know Ashton Doolin's an incredible special teams player, it's going to end up being Ashton Doolin. So I hope Treadwell makes it to the practice squad. I think he's been good for us. Flash my knuckle up there. Grazed that against something. Sorry about that. But I like what I've seen from Treadwell, man. Making plays. Seems like his years in the league, the knowledge that he has, he's able to use that to his advantage, and it's helped him out. And I think he's been good for us. So hopefully Treadwell ends up making it somehow. Sorry, excuse me. Just really not sure if he's going to be able to make it to the practice squad, right? You think about some of the teams that aren't deep at receiver. Again, the Vikings come up in that conversation. The Chargers come up in that conversation. Who would give him a chance? I think there are plenty of teams out there that would be willing to give Laquan Treadwell a chance. Somebody that had a lot of prestige coming out of college. A lot of people believed he could be good, which is why he keeps bouncing from team to team. So I hope he can somehow be on the team. If his practice squad is practice squad, I hope he can make it to practice squad. If he doesn't make the team, I don't think he'll make the 53, though. I think the 53, in terms of receiver, I think the 6 receivers we take are set, and I think they've been set. It's just a matter of who's going to be practice squad. Juwan Winfrey might get pushed out. And Laquan Treadwell could be the guy that takes his spot this year. AR5 should have played more in the 3 preseason games. Shake off there. I agree. I think he should have played in the second game, even with practicing against the Cardinals starters. Like I just think getting real game feel, real game action would have been better. And I think had that happened, then what you saw in joint practice Tuesday would have been better. I think what you saw in game, and what you saw in the game would have been better. And unfortunately, he doesn't play. Just one of those things. I understand the injury thing. I just think just like the Jets, man. I think the Jets are going to disappoint people this year. A lot of that's going to be because they're going to be in season trying to learn things on the fly. It makes things harder. You didn't have Aaron Rodgers in your starters playing in the preseason, which is where Robert Salah just looks like a doofus year after year. Looks like a doofus. Just because Aaron Rodgers has been in the league a long time doesn't mean he's going to come in and immediately. The players need to play a little bit. I think even Aaron Rodgers said that he wanted to get into some preseason action, get into some of that real game feel. Now you're going into week 1. Are you going to be less nervous just because you're waiting 17 more days? You have a 40-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles. Yeah, I'm not going to go into a Jets situation. This is Colts channel. But I think starters for all teams should play more in the preseason. Even if it's not a whole lot, right? Just like JT getting pulled after a series. Stuff like that is fine, but you need people to get real game action before week 1. The best that D-line has been since the Mathis days. I think as well, really hoping. Yeah, Latu looks as advertised. He's not on the field as much as he should be, in my opinion, but anytime he is on the field, he's impacting the game. So really like what I've seen from Latu, and that should help our secondary, right? Having to get the ball out quick. That's what a lot of last night was. You get pressure on the quarterback, he has to get the ball out quick. When you start getting in the quarterback's head that he has to get the ball out quick, boom, then the defense can just react. They know my pass rush is going to get there 9 times out of 10 and at least make them hurry up so I can react to this shorter route instead of following this longer route up the field. I can stay here, stay at home, react to the shorter stuff. And that's what happened last night. That's why, again, quarterback that was in all game has less than 100 yards passing because pass rush was getting there all day. I'm so sorry. Haven't been yawning all day. Turn on the lights, start yawning every time. Imagine Bean becomes the Colts franchise quarterback. Strange things happen. Yeah. Hopefully that doesn't happen. All right. I have 2 AR jerseys. I want AR to be the guy. But I do like Bean, and I hope that AR, Richardson and Bean, hopefully is our generation, this new generation's version of Manning and Sorgi, right? Just combine them. Have them work together and work together on being great. That's what I hope happens. It's a great example of things that young guys learn from. In the preseason, let them learn that. Yeah, and that's what Steichen was saying in his post-game press conference was just like Steichen knows exactly what's supposed to happen in the offense, how the reads are supposed to go, what the throws are supposed to do against different coverages. He was talking about it in his presser and seemed fine with it, right? Was talking about, we just got to learn from it. This was actually kind of perfect to happen because we can take this and we can learn from it. And going forward, when we have this coverage, we can do this. He said that verbatim. That's what he was saying. This is a great learning lesson. Not a great way to learn. People are going to clown on us. They're going to bring that up, right, until Anthony Richardson can prove it wrong. People are going to bring that up. So that's going to be frustrating, but again, good learning lesson. So you're exactly right, Daniel. Welcome. I believe that's your first comment in here today. Welcome. Appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate you all stopping by. Don't know if I've called you all out. KT, see you in here. Carr, see you in here. Don't know exactly how that's supposed to be pronounced. Just what's up, Carr? I want Land to make the roster. Yeah, I think Land's going to make the roster. I think he showed enough throughout this preseason that he's going to make the roster. He's going to be part of the rotation. You have Tyquan Lewis in there. And we're going to do a roster projection, have video about that. I don't have the roster in front of me right now, but yeah, feels like Land is probably a pretty safe pick to make the 53. AR5 needed max game rep, and who knows about me. Yep, couldn't agree more, man. Really couldn't agree more. Pretty much echoed those sentiments as we've gone along here. So let's see, what haven't we covered? Keaton Slovis, pretty clear that he's the one that's not going to make it. Stats coming out of last night. Anthony Richardson ends up 8 for 14, 86 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jason Bean, 4 for 4, 52 yards. And then on the ground, Anthony Richardson, 1 carry, 3 yards. Jason Bean, 3 carries, 15 in the rushing touchdown. Sam Ehlinger, 8 for 13, 48 yards. Did he run at all? Nope, no runs here for Ehlinger. And then Slovis, again, 5 for 6, 31 yards. In the running game, Xavier Scott, 3 carries, 19 yards, had the biggest average at 6.33. Evan Holden, 9 for 30. Demetric Felton, highest average, 4 for 44, but had the 1 carry for 40, 40-ish. Tyler Goodson, 13 carries, 57 yards. He just continued to be up and down. And maybe part of that's offensive line, right? The offensive line wasn't perfect, especially in the run game last night. There were some instances where our guys just didn't have any chance to make anything happen. But overall, I think the run game been able to perform well throughout the preseason. Yeah. Yeah, I imagine. I'm surprised there are more people up there that are Jets fans. Yeah, I figured it'd all be Giants fans. But I guess Jets have probably been around longer, right? I mean, well, no, they've both been around a long time. Yeah, no problem. We'll keep the talk to the Colts here. We won't mention the Jets and the Giants as much. But overall, last night, you know, reaction coming out. Obviously, a little bit disappointed, but thought we saw we saw some good, we saw some bad. That was what last night was. Saw some good, saw some bad. Um, we want the starters to be more consistent. I thought we have a pretty clear indication on who a lot of the guys on the team is. Again, I got to go through the tape, and we're going to do a lot of that. Um, and tomorrow, I got to work my day job tonight, and then I got to wake up tomorrow and do the day job. So there's not going to be another video tonight, and there's not going to be another video until tomorrow evening. Got to get home from work and I'll get some content out. But then Sunday, I want to pump out a bunch of content. Want to go over some film and start going through all that while I have the time on Sunday and start putting those videos together. So going to start going through, and we never did videos on the Cardinals. I worked overtime this week, been very busy, with other life stuff, and just wasn't able to get through all the tape and to make the tape. So we're going to make tape over the Cardinals game and the Bengals game. We'll combine some stuff, look at some stuff, look at the bottom of the roster guys, look at some position battles, stuff like that. So make sure you subscribe with notifications on. If you have friends and family that are Colts fans, hey, share the link, right? Copy the link, share it with them for the channel. Have them subscribe, have notifications on, so you get notified when any content drops. And, of course, whenever the videos come out, drop in the comments, right? While watch the video, listen to the video, and let me know what you think in the comment section as we go along. Of course, I'm going to want your guys' opinion. I like to have the pulse of Colts Nation, right? I like to know what's going on with Colts fans, how we feeling, how we thinking. So whatever content drops, these live streams, I love it when you guys are in the chat. Any videos, drop in the comments. Need to start making a more diligent effort. That's one thing, one of the habits I need to create is make a more diligent effort to get back in the comment section and spend some time doing that every night. I see comments. It's just, replying to all of them takes a little bit of time. But, again, want to start doing that. Of course, I appreciate you guys stopping by for another one of these live streams. Again, a lot of content coming out. Plenty of storylines coming out of the preseason. So, subscribe, notifications on if you're not already subscribed. And, again, appreciate you stopping by. And, as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go.